Amidst the increasing demands for the removal of the Lakshadweep Administrator, Praful Patel, 93 retired top bureaucrats write to the Prime Minister asking for his removal. If pizzas and burgers can be delivered at home, why not rations? The Delhi Chief Minister asked the centre, also disputes the centre's claim that his government did not take permission for the implementation of the door-to-door ration delivery scheme, caused the centre's move to halt it anti-poor. Delhi reports less than 400 COVID cases. Positivity rates fall to 0.5%. 34 COVID patients have died in the last 24 hours in Delhi. That's the lowest, though, since the 8th of April. 3 hangars, 300 counters, a huge vaccination drive that aims at covering at least 40,000 individuals in a day being held in Telangana. Amid speculation of the expansion of the UP cabinet ahead of the assembly elections next year, the BJP's UP in charge meets with the governor in Lucknow. And in West Bengal, the BJP Suvendu Adhikari accused of stealing relief material. A case is filed. Good evening. You're watching NDTV, the 8 o'clock news now. I'm Sarah Jacob. Let's get you the top story. A day after the Delhi Chief Minister, Arvind Kejriwal, claimed that the central government has blocked the Aam Aadmi Party's plans to launch the doorstep-to-doorstep delivery of rations, the Delhi Chief Minister has today accused the centre of taking the step under the influence, and I'm quoting here, of what he calls is the ration mafia, which he says has ensured that the pro-poor revolutionary scheme does not get implemented in the national capital.
The tussle between Delhi government and centre over doorstep delivery of ration more bitter today, with the Delhi CM dragging in politics.
लोग पूछ रहे हैं, अगर इस देश में पिज्जा की होम डिलीवरी हो सकती है, बर्गर की होम डिलीवरी हो सकती है, स्मार्टफोन और कपड़ों की भी होम डिलीवरी हो सकती है, तो फिर गरीबों के घरों में राशन की होम डिलीवरी क्यों नहीं होनी चाहिए? लोगों को लगने लगा है कितनी मुसीबत के समय भी केंद्र सरकार सबसे झगड़ रही है। आप ममता दीदी से झगड़ रहे हैं, झारखंड सरकार से झगड़ रहे हैं, आप लक्षद्वीप के लोगों से झगड़ रहे हैं, महाराष्ट्र सरकार से लड़ रहे हैं, दिल्ली के लोगों से लड़ रहे हैं, किसानों से लड़ रहे हैं। लोग इस बात से बहुत दुखी हैं सर कि केंद्र सरकार सबसे लड़ रही है। ऐसे देश कैसे चलेगा? आप हम सबसे क्यों लड़ रहे हैं? हम सब आपके ही हैं, हम सब भारतवासी हैं। ऐसे में हम सब आपस में लड़ेंगे तो कोरोना से कैसे जीतेंगे?
The scheme is going to affect 72 lakh people in Delhi who hold ration cards and receive subsidized wheat, sugar and rice each month. The Delhi government's plan is to deliver this at the doorstep of the beneficiaries. Currently, they have to visit their nearest fair price shop. The scheme was a key promise in Aam Aadmi Party's 2020 poll manifesto and was set to launch this year in March. The centre had been objecting to the scheme, citing that the Delhi government will collect additional milling, packaging and handling charges, and that goes against the National Food Security Act. The centre is also citing a litigation pending in the High Court on the issue as the reason for not allowing the scheme to go ahead.
अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का ये जो स्कीम है, जो घर घर राशन वाला स्कीम है, उसमें एक जो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है, उसको बड़ी चतुराई के साथ अरविंद केजरीवाल जी ने छुपा दिया। उसमें एक प्रावधान है कि आप ये जो राशन है, जो आप फेयर प्राइस शॉप में पाते हैं, उस राशन को दिल्ली के कुछ एजेंसीज उठा लेंगे और जैसे कि गेहूं है उसको आटा बनाया जाएगा और जैसे चावल है उसकी सफाई की जाएगी और इसके लिए कुछ एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज दिल्ली की सरकार लगाएगी। देखिए, नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट में कोई भी एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज के विषय में नहीं बताया गया है कि कोई एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज कोई भी राज्य लगा सकती है। जो केंद्र के नियम है उन्हीं केंद्र के नियम के मुताबिक चलना पड़ेगा। एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज कोई लगा नहीं सकता है।
The Delhi government has accused the centre of being discriminatory.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की हरियाणा सरकार हरियाणा के गरीब लोगों से 3 रुपए राशन की पिसाई लेती है और राशन की दुकानों पे आके लोगों को वो राशन की जगह आटा उठाना पड़ता है अगर मिलता है तो। दिल्ली सरकार का प्रपोजल कहता है कि हम केवल 2 रुपए पिसाई लेंगे और राशन घर पे दे के आएंगे। हम केवल उस आदमी से 2 रुपए चार्ज करेंगे पिसाई के। आपने 3 रुपए कर रखा है और आपकी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की कई सरकारें पूरे देश में 3-3 रुपए ले रही है गरीब लोगों से।
Ration dealers are opposing the scheme as it will affect their livelihood, while food rights activists say the poorest are suffering in this political battle.
हमारी दुकान में लगभग 2 से 2,500 लोग दिल्ली के अंदर राशन की दुकानें चलाते हैं और इन दुकानों पे लगभग 8 से 10,000 परिवार जुड़े हुए होते हैं। एक दुकान पे औसतन लगभग 3 लोग कार्य करते हैं। इस योजना, अगर ये योजना लागू हो जाती तो इतने लोगों के पेट पे लात पड़ती।
लोग जो दिल्ली की झुग्गी बस्तियों में रहते हैं, जिनके पास राशन कार्ड है, वो काम पर जाते हैं, तो यदि वो काम पर गए हो और राशन पीछे से आए तो क्या होगा। उसी तरह से यदि किसी को 40 किलो राशन मिलना है, 50 किलो राशन मिलना है किसी परिवार को और कम राशन आता है, 10 ही किलो मिलता है, तो वो क्या करेंगे। सिमिलरली गुणवत्ता का एक बड़ा मुद्दा है कि अगर खराब राशन आता है तो लोग क्या करें, क्या उसे रखें या वापस भेज दें। अभी तो दुकान पर यदि उन्हें बुरा राशन देने की कोशिश होती है, पुअर क्वालिटी का राशन देने की कोशिश होती है, तो लोग मना कर देते हैं लेने से।
The scheme was originally called Mukhyamantri Ghar Ghar Ration Yojana, but later the term Mukhyamantri was removed due to centre's objection to it. Over a year since the scheme's announcement, yet there has been more emphasis on the politics of it than fulfilling basic needs of people. In New Delhi, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Let's get you a look at the big picture when it comes to India's fight against the spread of the coronavirus. India has added 1.14 lakh new coronavirus cases over the last 24 hours, while deaths from COVID-19 have risen by 2,667. But the country's overall caseload now stands at 2.88 crore, while the total fatalities are at 3.46 lakh. Now, all of this, of course, according to the latest health ministry data. India's active caseload has dropped to 14.77 lakh, with 1.89 lakh people recovering from the coronavirus infection in the last 24 hours. And the daily recoveries in India have been outnumbering the daily cases for the 24th consecutive day, and the daily positivity rate has further declined. It now stands at 5.62%. It has been less than 10% for the past 13 consecutive days. Meanwhile, as Delhi has over this weekend, Haryana has now decided to extend COVID restrictions till the 14th of June, but providing for some relaxations. Let's go across to my colleague Ghazali. So Ghazali, how is this going to play out in Haryana? What are the relaxations? Which areas specifically are being relaxed first?
So today the government has announced the extension of ongoing restrictions to curb the spread of COVID-19. And these restrictions have been extended till June 15. So shops, malls, restaurants, bars and religious places have been permitted to reopen with certain conditions. While these restrictions were earlier supposed to end on June 7, this has been extended till June 14. So what have been allowed? So shops, apart from standalone shops, can function from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on an odd-even basis. The shops with odd numbers will open on odd dates, for those with even numbers on even dates. Malls are allowed to open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Home delivery from hotels, restaurants and fast food joints have been allowed up to 10 p.m. And restaurants, bars, including hotels and malls, can remain open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. with 50% seating capacity. Meanwhile, the corporate offices have been allowed to operate with 50% attendance. Religious places can open up with 21 persons at one time. Gathering in wedding, funeral or cremation to have 21 persons. And weddings can take place other than home and courts, but there will be no movement of barat or any other such gathering. These are certain relaxations which have been given at a time when Haryana has seen a dip in cases, though experts have said that the government should have gone ahead with the restrictions, but the government has decided to give some relaxations as it was also facing protests from small shop owners in multiple kasbas, towns and cities.
Ghazali reporting there on the restrictions being eased up in Haryana. Thanks for that. Meanwhile, Maharashtra has announced a 5-step unlock plan from Monday in a late-night order, a day after the state government's U-turn on the ease of restrictions announced by a minister earlier. The new guidelines come into effect from Monday, like I said, with the districts of the state divided into 5 levels based on weekly positivity rates and oxygen bed occupancies. Mumbai's local trains, though the densely populated city's lifeline, will, however, not be operational for everyone just yet.
From Monday, Mumbai, along with Maharashtra, is preparing to unlock. Many shops, establishments, restaurants, hotels, offices will be opened. But in Mumbai, local trains will not run. Kamlesh Dave lives in Dahisar in North Mumbai and works in a garment shop 40 km away in Marine Lines, South Mumbai. Normally, he would take a train but will now have to take a state transport bus, which he says will take 3 hours one way.
6 घंटा लगता है ये पूरा 6 घंटा ये पूरा आधा दिन में जाता ही है आधा दिन में 2-3 घंटे में क्या 4 बजे तो बंद होता है तो क्या काम होएगा कुछ काम होता नहीं है कहने का.
Not just Kamlesh, many who will have to use buses are worried.
बहुत तकलीफ होती है 1-1.5 घंटा लाइन लगाओ फिर भी वेस्ट होता है टाइम फिर भी लेते नहीं हम लोग को.
ट्रेन से जाते ना ट्रेन से क्या उतना ही टाइम बचता है ना इधर 1 घंटा लगता है तो उधर आधा घंटा लगेगा ना टाइम बचता है और काम भी जल्दी हो जाता है तो घर अभी कितना घंटा खड़े इधर.
Mumbai is in the level 3 of Maharashtra's unlock guidelines, which means private offices with 50% capacity can operate. PST buses, cabs, rickshaws can now apply, but not suburban trains.
हम जब मुंबई और मुंबई के MMR रीजन की जब बात करते हैं और अनलॉक की बात करते हैं तो ऐसे में मुंबई की लाइफलाइन मुंबई लोकल को बंद करके अनलॉक की बात करना ये बेईमानी होगी. सरकार ने समझने की आवश्यकता है कि जब आप अनलॉक कर रहे हैं उनके कार्यालय शुरू कर रहे हैं उनके दुकानें शुरू कर रहे हैं ऐसे में उन दुकानों में उस कार्यालयों में काम करने वाला जो श्रमिक है जो कामगार है वो कैसे वहां तक पहुंचेगा.
Shops, hotels and restaurants will also remain open till 4 p.m. So the Traders Association is worried about workers.
महाराष्ट्र सरकार को हमने अपील की है ट्रेन की सेवाएं शुरू कर जाए क्योंकि उससे बर्डन रास्ते पे कम हो जाएगा ट्रैफिक कम होगा बस के ऊपर बर्डन कम होगा सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग रहेगा और प्रिकॉशन भी अच्छी तरह से ले पाएंगे.
As Mumbai prepares to unlock itself, Mumbai's lifeline, the local train, is still shut for common public. The government says it doesn't want to take any chance, but what about the commuters who will have to spend hours on roads, especially those in the entire Mumbai metropolitan region before they actually reach their destination? In Mumbai with camera person Rajendra Dayalkar, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
And staying with Mumbai, COVID has increased the risks of heart attacks and strokes due to blood clots. But now there are cases of intestinal attacks also being reported in Mumbai. There have been several cases of gangrene in the intestine being seen in patients who've had COVID. This is according to doctors, as NDTV's Pooja Bhardwaj found out.
COVID is causing blood clots not only in the heart but also in the intestine. Doctors in Mumbai say they are seeing several such cases. Dr. Abhijit Soni, an interventional radiologist associated with 5 major hospitals in Mumbai, says cases of intestinal clot and gangrene have increased almost 3 times in the second wave of COVID.
गए साल से जब से कोविड चालू हुआ है तब से ब्लड क्लॉटिंग के वजह से इंटेस्टिनल इस्कीमिया गैंग्रीन और इंटेस्टिनल क्लॉट के पेशेंट्स की जो प्रेजेंटेशन है काफ़ी बढ़ चुकी है. मैं कह सकता हूँ कि जो हम नॉर्मली देखते थे उससे 2 या 3 गुना ज़्यादा देख रहे हैं हम वो टाइप के पेशेंट्स. कोविड के वजह से बॉडी में इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स होता है और जितना इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स स्ट्रांग होता है उतना ब्लड क्लॉटिंग की टेंडेंसी बढ़ जाती है.
Apart from the lungs, the coronavirus is also affecting the gastrointestinal tract, according to doctors. Around 16 to 30% of COVID patients are facing such issues. These patients have less complaints of breathing and more complaints related to the stomach. In rare cases, COVID is also causing clots in the patient's intestine, which is called acute mesenteric ischemia or AMI. Due to AMI, the blood supply to the parts of the small intestine is affected, which leads to problem of gangrene. There are other symptoms like abdominal pain, hard stomach, diarrhea, vomiting along with fever. And in some cases, there may be blood in stool or black stool.
कोविड के समय में मेजेंटिक इश्कीमिया मतलब ब्लड सप्लाई इंटेस्टाइन को कम हो जाना और उसकी वजह से इंटेस्टाइन को डैमेज होना, ये एक कॉमन बीमारी हो गई है। इसका इंसिडेंसेस लास्ट ईयर कम था, लेकिन इस साल ऐसे पेशेंट काफ़ी सारे हम लोग देख पा रहे हैं। कोविड में ये कॉमन क्यों है? नॉर्मली जब भी कोविड इन्फेक्शन होता है या कोई भी इन्फेक्शन होता है तो हमारी इम्यून सिस्टम जो है वो बूस्टअप हो जाती है और वो रिएक्ट करती है। जैसे हमारी इम्यून सिस्टम रिएक्ट करती है वैसे हमारी क्लॉगुलेशन सिस्टम या जो क्लॉटिंग मैकेनिज्म कहते हैं वो भी रिएक्ट करता है और पेशेंट जो है वो रेडी होता है एक्स्ट्रा क्लॉट करने के लिए। जब भी ये इन्फेक्शन बहुत सीवियर हो जाता है, पूरी बॉडी में फैल जाता है, तो हमारी बॉडी जो है क्लॉटिंग मैकेनिज्म ज़्यादा रिएक्ट करते हुए सारे बॉडी में और नसों में वो क्लॉट कर सकता है। सिमिलरली वो मेजेंटिक इश्कीमिया मतलब इंटेस्टाइन की नसों में भी क्लॉट बनाने लगता है।
If the symptoms of clotting in the intestine are diagnosed on time, then fatal problems like gangrene can be avoided, as COVID makes the situation worsen faster.
पेट में दर्द है, इनको लूज मोशन है, इनको ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है स्टूल्स में, तो हम लोग ये देखते हैं। नॉर्मल पेशेंट्स में हम लोग बेसिक इन्वेस्टिगेशंस पे ये ट्रीटमेंट कर सकते हैं। जब भी हमको लगता है कि पेट ज्यादा फूल गया है, पेशेंट स्टूल पास नहीं कर रहा है, उनको कंटिन्यूस फीवर रह रहा है, पेट में दर्द कम नहीं होता है, तो नॉर्मली हम लोग सीटी एंजियोग्राफी करते हैं, जिसमें अपने को सीटी स्कैन पेट का बोलते हैं। तो सीटी स्कैन हमको ये बताता है कि कितना पार्ट गैंग्रीन हो चुका है। अगर गैंग्रीन सेट हो गया है तो हमको दूसरा कोई ऑप्शन नहीं रहता है, ऑपरेशन करके वो गैंग्रीन पार्ट निकालना पड़ता है, सेप्टिक क्लियर करना पड़ता है, अदरवाइज जान का खतरा बन जाता है।
रक्तवाहिनी जो आंत को सप्लाई करती है खून, वो रक्तवाहिनी के अंदर ब्लड क्लॉट जम जाना। अगर ब्लड क्लॉट जम जाता है तो उसकी वजह से जो खून मिलना चाहिए आंत को वो नहीं मिलता है और उसकी वजह से गैंग्रीन होने की संभावना ऐसे हो सकती है। तो जैसे क्लॉट की वजह से हार्ट अटैक आ सकता है, लोगों को स्ट्रोक आ सकता है, उसी तरह से ये जो समस्या है उसकी वजह से इंटेस्टिनल अटैक आ सकता है। तो अभी सुनने में ज़्यादा आया है ये प्रॉब्लम के बारे में, पहले इतना कॉमनली नहीं था ये।
In this complicated phase of COVID, experts say that unknown pain in the stomach means one should consult a doctor. If there are other problems like vomiting and diarrhea, after COVID, it could be the result of clotting, and this has been noticed in patients even after recovering from COVID. In Mumbai with Pooja Bhardwaj, Saurabh Gupta, Joshua Chin for NDTV.
And the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, its fallout is being felt in almost every sector of our lives. And now, due to the coronavirus, wrestling competitions have been closed in Maharashtra for the last 2 years. And that has affected wrestlers not being able to practice. Players who've been playing at state and national levels are now earning a mere 300 rupees a day by doing daily wage farming.
From national level wrestling to farming, Sanjana Bagdi, who won bronze medals in competitions organized by Wrestling Federation of India and Khelo India, is now working as a laborer on this farm just to earn 300 rupees a day.
सध्या कोरोनामुळे आमचं पूर्ण प्रॅक्टिस पण थांबले आणि स्पर्धा पण होत नाहीत आणि त्यामुळे खूप अडचण येते प्रॅक्टिस म्हणजे घरात खुराकासाठी। आणि माझ्यासारख्याच असं अजून बरेच मुलं आणि मुली आहेत, त्यांच्यासाठी काहीतरी शासनानं सहकार्य केलं पाहिजे पैलवानांच्यासाठी। आणि पैलवान हे गरीब कुटुंबातले असतात। माझ्यासारखी बरीच जण आहेत मुलं आणि मुली की ज्यांच्यावर आता शेतात काम करून पैलवानकी करायची हे आल्या अडचण आल्या।
Sanjana's family belongs to the Tung village in the Sangli district. Her father is a fisherman, but his savings are running out because fish markets are shut.
पोरगीने एवढं कष्ट केलं, कुस्तीत त्यानं मन जिंकतेने एवढं केलं, कुस्तीत एवढं त्यानं प्रयत्न केलं, कष्ट केलं, त्याला कुस्ती केलेल्याचं फळ मिळावं ह्या विचारानं आम्ही डोकं चालवत होतो। पण आता रानातलं काम करते, घरातलं काम करते, त्याच्यामुळे आम्हाला थोडंसं मनस्थितीला दुःख वाटतंय। शासनाकडे काहीतरी मदत व्हावं पैलवानकीत।
ओलंपिक 2024 में होने वाली जो स्पर्धा है उसके लिए हम उसकी तैयारी कर रहे हैं, आगे करेंगे, देखेंगे जो होगा। और उसके खर्चे के लिए वो थोड़ा गाँव में किधर खेत में काम मिलता है तो करते हैं, उसको पानी खेत में जाने के लिए वो जो पाट बनवाता है वो बनाते हैं।
There are rewards and praise when a sportsperson wins a medal. But at times like these, when they need help the most, India has forgotten its heroes. With Robinson David from Sangli and Sohit Mishra from Mumbai, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
We're going to go in for a short break, but there's more coming up, including why 93 former civil servants have written to Prime Minister Modi. We'll bring you more on their letter. Welcome back. Now, the big story, one of the big stories of the day, 93 former civil servants have written to Prime Minister Modi expressing concern over the newly proposed regulations in Lakshadweep. They've also asked for the removal of Praful Patel as the administrator of the Union Territory. Here's a report.
Peaceful and serene Lakshadweep now in the centre of a raging storm. Amid increasing demands for the removal of the Lakshadweep administrator Praful Patel, 93 retired top bureaucrats of the Constitutional Conduct Group have written to Prime Minister Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah and Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar, objecting to Praful Patel's draft orders that are pending approval of the Home Ministry. The bureaucrats say each of these draft regulations are part of a larger agenda that is against ethos of Lakshadweep. These measures smack not of development but of alien, arbitrary policy making. The proposals of the administrator without due consultation with the islanders are an onslaught on the fabric of Lakshadweep society. They want the draft regulations withdrawn and a full-time, people-sensitive, responsive administrator to be appointed. The letter that denies any political affiliation comes days after social media campaigns against the administrator.
All the rights that we are enjoying as an islander was not provided by the administrator. It was provided by the democratic government under the Constitution of Government of India. What we are against is the draconian regulations introduced by the newly joined administrator, who fails to consider the rights of indigenous tribes and fails to protect our belongings, our heritage, our culture, our habitat, our ecology.
Elected parliamentarians of Kerala from the left and the Congress have protested against the alleged unilateral laws proposed by the administrator, even as their delegations have denied permits to visit Lakshadweep amid the pandemic. A unanimous resolution passed by the Kerala Assembly seeks for the removal of the administrator. Among the series of controversial draft orders being objected to are the powers of the administrator under the Lakshadweep Development Authority regulation to acquire land for development, the Lakshadweep Prevention of Anti-Social Activities Regulation or the Gunda Act in an island with a low crime rate, the Lakshadweep Animal Preservation Regulation which prohibits slaughter, consumption of bovine animals in an island where consumption of beef is seen as normal.
It is clearly mentioned by and assured by the Home Minister that all proposals, after consulting the people, taking the opinion of the people, will be implemented. That means all the opinion and their suggestions will be considered.
Well, the administration of Lakshadweep has gone ahead and backed these controversial draft orders as reforms. However, amid all the growing concerns, not only from people who belong to Lakshadweep but from different parts of India, there is yet to be any public statement either from the administrator of Lakshadweep or Government of India. Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
And amid speculation of the expansion of the UP cabinet ahead of the assembly elections next year, the BJP's UP in charge, Radha Mohan Singh, met with the governor, Anandiben Patel, today in Lucknow. Mr. Singh was in UP's capital just days ago for unprecedented review meetings with the Chief Minister Adityanath and other top leaders. And there's now speculation about a big role in the government for a former bureaucrat considered extremely close to Prime Minister Modi.
कुछ लोगों के दिमाग में अपनी खेती करते हैं और अपना फसल उपजाते हैं तो फिर उस पर मैं क्या बोलूं?
Is a cabinet reshuffle in Uttar Pradesh just round the corner? I don't know, claimed the BJP's UP in charge, former Union Agriculture Minister Radha Mohan Singh after this surprising 30-minute meeting with Uttar Pradesh Governor Anandiben Patel in Lucknow, which came less than a week after Mr. Singh and another top BJP leader from Delhi, BL Santosh, chaired unprecedented review meetings with CM Adityanath and others in both the state government and the UP BJP, also in Lucknow.
देखो सीटें खाली हैं तो बहुत बड़ा सीट खाली नहीं है, कुछ सीट जो खाली है तो उचित समय पर मुख्यमंत्री अपना निर्णय लेंगे।
जहां तक सरकार संगठन का सवाल है, देश में सबसे मजबूत संगठन उत्तर प्रदेश में बीजेपी का है और सबसे ज्यादा लोकप्रिय सरकार उत्तर प्रदेश की योगी सरकार।
BJP sources say a big role in the UP government is now just a formality away for AK Sharma, a former IAS officer close to Prime Minister Modi and now an MLC in UP. Mr. Sharma was sent to the state a few months ago, reportedly at the insistence of the Prime Minister, and is credited with single-handedly managing the COVID crisis in Varanasi, Prime Minister Modi's constituency. BJP sources have told NDTV the meetings last week discussed the intense outrage from within the party over the UP government's handling of the COVID surge and complaints over Adityanath's functioning. While sources insist there will be no change in the UP government's top leadership, is there a move to cut Adityanath down to size with assembly polls just 8 months away? With Akhilesh Sharma in New Delhi, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
And in some news just coming in, facing a shortage of the Covaxin vaccine in Delhi, the government has now decided that the Covaxin dose is only going to be administered now for those who have yet to be given their second dose. So if you're in the age group of 18 to 44 years and you've gotten the first dose of the Covaxin vaccine, you will be prioritized for the second dose. Private hospitals can only give the second dose until next order. So if you are someone who has not had even the first dose, you are unlikely to be administered the first dose as of now, until everyone who's gotten their first dose is followed up with a second dose.